Hey, welcome to Many Roads Traveled. I'm Tamara, and I will be your, virtual tour guide on my 30,000-mile road trip from Paris to Cape Town. So, welcome. It's episode 15. Woohoo! Can you believe it? Today's episode, we are going to be crossing into Sudan from Egypt, from the Aswan High Dam, and getting a car ferry over to Wadi Halfa, Sudan, otherwise known as halfway bloody there. Guess that's what the 19th century British troops used to call it, and I'm guessing it's from halfway between Khartoum and Cairo. There's many names for Wadi Halfa. And then we are going to be getting a 1,000-kilometer train from there to Khartoum, although it doesn't go that smoothly. This is the beginning of 2 months of the hardest traveling I've ever done in my life. And that's 30 years and 76 countries. So yeah, buckle up, buttercup. My review of the week's last couple of weeks is from, well, you'll never guess who. Aunt Tamara's favorite nephew. That's you, Cody. How you doing, Coaster? Although I think there might be a few battles on that, especially from Shay, who does my intro on my podcast. Anyway, I love you guys all. And it says, awesome podcast. Love your podcast, Aunt Tam. Love it that you're sharing your world adventures. Thanks, bud. All right, now, like I said, let's crack on. So it's day 87, and I'm traveling with my friend Casey, who I left Canada with. And also another reminder, this is back in 1993. So things are definitely different back then. So yeah, so it's day 87. It's in April 1993. And we get there's an 18-hour car ferry from Aswan High Dam to, well, near Wadi Halfa. Now, the Aswan High Dam, that's like the biggest, I guess it's the world's largest embankment dam that stretches across the Nile in the world. So that's pretty crazy. In 1971, when the dam was completed, 100,000 Egyptians had to be displaced, but they got displaced pretty close, and the Egyptian government paid for it. Unfortunately, not so great for the Sudanese, and they're the Nubian tribe. 65,000 got displaced. It took literally something like 40 years for the Egyptians to build them a new town, and they built it 700 kilometers away. So where there's not Nubian tribes, and it's a completely different part of Sudan. So the Sudanese got screwed pretty bad by the Egyptians there. So after this very long 18-hour ferry ride, which I guess there is, I don't know if there was at my time, but there is now like first and second class. First class, it's pretty dirty. It's like four person cabins. But I think the linen is probably the same linen from when I went in 93. So second class, you're just kind of on the decks, and that's what we did. The co-captain kind of took a shine to me. So he let me sleep me and Casey sleep in our sleeping bags on the deck, kind of in a cordon off VIP area. So that was fine. Get across the border into Sudan, and you just hop on a truck, and it's about 30K to actually Wadi Halfa. And then we just changed some money. I guess I call it the black market, but so many countries, even now around the world, even the government, like they get licensed. Be careful, like just count your money if you ever do it that way. I mean, I've done it many times, and I think I've only been ripped off a couple times. So, but anyway, so back then it was about 180 to 200 Sudanese pounds to the US dollar on the black market. Through the bank, it was about 120, 130. Nowadays, like 2020, it's 55. Yeah, so the truck, it was, I don't know, it was about 25 cents to get to Wadi Halfa. But for me, it was huge because it finally felt like I was in Africa when I got into Sudan. I've been so excited because we came through the Middle East. Yeah, and if this is your first episode, I really highly recommend starting with episode 1 to get a backstory, and then just come along the trip, the whole trip with me. It's hopefully it's quite interesting and entertaining anyways. Yeah, so we get into Wadi Halfa and there's not much there. It's very wide open. There's kind of like a no man's land, and there's a few rectangular concrete buildings. Two of those are their motels. I won't even call them hotels. There's a little market. There's a little train station, and a couple of shops. That's literally it. Now on this ferry, there's between 500 and 600 passengers, all local people. There's only me, Casey, and a French couple who we had met in Siwa Oasis, actually, in Egypt. That was it. So just the four of us, Westerners. So by the time we got to the Wadi Nile Hotel, all the rooms were taken. This is my dash. We didn't obviously know this. And then, so we just got a cot. They called on their veranda. I call hallway. And that was it. And it was about 75 cents a night to sleep in a hallway on a cot. And then they have a court. I mean, this sounds a lot fancier than it was, even just saying courtyard. But they had a courtyard. And remember, you're in the middle of, Sudan is literally the Sahara Desert. So the only kind of, most people, except for the Nubians and, nomads and other tribes like that, people live, and the only vegetation is along the Nile. So that goes right through Sudan. And then it splits in Khartoum. Yeah, so the courtyard was an open space. There was a water well there. There was a couple, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 outhouses, and I think 2 kind of showers, more like bucket showers. And the water was only on, I think, 2 hours a day max. And because like I said, there's 500-600 people coming off on the ferry, 2 motels, and then people just either get trucks and head out right away, or camels, or whatever they do. But there's a lot of people there for a short period of time, because the train only runs once a week to get down to Khartoum, and it's never on time, it seems. So anyway, we got our cot and just, resigned myself to no privacy. It's very hot and there's nothing to do. And now a quick sponsor break. Listen, I've got a sweet deal for you. You can try out for 30 days this all-in-one marketing platform that has literally everything you need for an online business. Websites, membership sites, e-commerce sites, the list goes on and on and on. There's 40 unlimited tools that you can use for 30 days. Plus, I'm throwing in $600 worth of my bonuses. So head on over to manyroadstravel.com/travel. Okay, back to the show. And that basically will sum up my next few days. In the mornings, I'd head over to the market. Very limited choices. So I usually get mangoes, tomatoes, onions, some bread, which was quite like paper thin bread, but didn't matter where I got that bread from. They'd just be full of stone, like little stones, because I understand you're in the desert. They're cooking outside and it gets windy. And so I think I probably chipped every single tooth in my head just on Sudanese bread and just in Wadi Halfa. Also bananas. I mean, if we were really lucky, they might have some tamania, which are like falafels. And then the rest of the day would be just spent reading, writing in my journal, playing cards. I think I was still winning in backgammon, much to Casey's annoyance, and sleeping. And also when you ate, because there was 10 million flies, I'd have to be on my cot with my mosquito net over my head and food and eat that way. And still, the mosquito net would be covered in flies. It was brutal. 5 o'clock, I would head over to these 2 old ladies, local ladies, and have cups of tea with them. They couldn't speak English, but definitely this trip, I learned how to, mime / hand signals, just kind of act out what I was trying to say, communicate. With locals, and it tended to work pretty good. It's kind of like my travel sign language, I guess I would call it. But yeah, so I hung out with these old ladies every day around 5. Sometimes I'd have food from them, like for my dinner, and it'd either be, I don't even know what it was. There's this brownish green sauce and their bread, or I'd go to another vendor and get fool and bread. And fool is kind of like a bean in kind of a gravy sauce. It varies in how good it can be from different people. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And then to relieve my boredom, because Sudan is Islam fundamentalist Islamic, or Islamic fundamentalist. Sorry, this cold screwing my head up. There's no alcohol. Alcohol was illegal. Yeah, so they had this snuff, which is, basically chewing tobacco that they grew themselves. And they keep it in their little, they get these Nivea, Nivea face cream, the little tins. More wealthy ones would have them in these Nivea tins. And yeah, just chew tobacco, and that's it. That's all they could do really out there. Although I did get offered some like moonshine, Sudanese moonshine, from a couple of these guys. Oh my god, it tasted like lighter fluid or gasoline. Just not good at all. But I tried it because when else are you going to try Sudanese moonshine? But the chewing tobacco I kind of got into because, like I said, very bored. And I'd get such a head rush off of it because I just started, I'd never had tobacco before, except Egypt, like the month before when I was on the shisha pipes. So the chewing tobacco, like I'd take it, and then about 5-10 minutes later, my head would be spinning. I'd have this crazy high, and I'd often just lie down wherever I was, middle of the road, wherever. So, of course, the locals, I became a firm favorite because they just thought it was hilarious. And then I'd obviously act it up a bit too, right, just to make them laugh. But then very quickly, and I couldn't go anywhere without being stopped by like 4, 5, 6 people offering me their Nivea tins and just kind of like waiting for me to do my act, I guess. Although it wasn't an act, I really would be tripping. I really had spit and have to lie down. So anyways, it made them laugh. It's killed some time, and it was all fun. So yeah, those were basically my days waiting for this bloody train. Because of course it was late. And then finally day 92. So we got there day 88. So 4 days later, this train finally rolls in. It's going to leave at 8 p.m. that night. So we'd already got our tickets, and we went for the first class ticket. So it was like $11 for first class ticket, which to go 1,000 kilometers. So happy days. We could finally, like, and even like at the hotel, use that term loosely, with the water well, like I had a water filter, which luckily my uncle gave me before I left, because that saved not just my life, but Casey's life and other people I traveled with down the road so many times. And back then in 93, there wasn't that many small portable water filters. So that was awesome. So it's just a cup, and you take the filter out and put it on top of the cup, and then the water through it. And it just took out everything. So yeah, we had to use that. And it would take some time to filter through too. But yeah, definitely important to have a water filter these days still. Anyway, so we get on the train about 7:30. We think we luck out because we found just a 3-seater compartment. They're usually, all the other ones were 6, so it was kind of like a half compartment. But we just were like, we're not going to let anyone else in. However, the actual seats, there was no padding because they rip all the seat cover, like all the seat padding out, and they use it for their bicycle seats. So you're literally just sitting on wood slats. Really comfortable. Now, like I said, this train ride is 1,000 kilometers. It could last anywhere from 35 to 50 hours through the desert. So like I said, just follows it all down. But we thought, well, at least Casey had his thermarest, like a little blow-up mattress, it's like 1 inch thick kind of thing. So we can put that, so one of us can lay down on the floor, one of us can lay on the seats kind of thing. So we thought, okay, this is great, whatever. But also in the train, there's no window pane. There's windows, but no window panes. So just imagine how dirty you get. You're in the biggest sandbox you've ever seen in your life with just sand coming in on you. It was crazy. And this was first class. I think second class was on the roof of the train, really, because there was people all on, or maybe that was third class. And they had 2 carriages that were the water tanks, and then like the bathrooms, you just, just a hole in the train, and people pee on the tracks. The next day, so day 93, We wake up at 6 in the morning and we're not moving. I mean, we'd stop through the night, and obviously, like African nights are pitch black. So as the sun goes down, so we couldn't really see anything because we didn't leave till 8 o'clock at night. So 6 in the morning, I'm like, Casey, like we haven't moved for it seems like for quite a while. So at 8 in the morning, like 2 hours later, I'm like, I'm gonna check out what's happening because a lot of people couldn't speak English either, so we didn't know. So I'm like, I'm just gonna check it out for myself. So I got out, walked to the front of the train. The bloody tracks have been washed away. It's like, what the hell has happened here? Well, I guess there was literally a 10-15 minute flash flood thunderstorm in the night we didn't even hear, and it just washed the tracks away. And they've been trying to fix them, but they can't fix them. So we have to go back to bloody Wadi Halfa. But backwards. The whole, like, we've been traveling for 12 hours, about. Well, 10 hours, I guess. It's 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. Oh my God. I was like, are you kidding me? This is absolutely ridiculous. Like, we just spent 4 or 5 days in Wadi Halfa. Brutal, brutal, brutal. I don't want to go back. I'd travel backwards the whole time. But we had no option, and that's what we had to do. So we got back to Wadi Halfa at 6 p.m. 22 hours of traveling, going nowhere. I hate backtracking at the best of times, but 22 hours on the train from hell, back to hell, half hell. Oh my gosh. So we went back to the Wadi Nile hotel, got our cot back in the hallway, still couldn't even get a room, and just was, yeah, it was a bit heartbreaking. I mean, the only good thing about Wadi Halfa was the people. The people were awesome. Sudanese people, so nice. And it was such a relief after Egypt. Like, I just, the sexual harassment and just constant, especially in Luxor and Aswan, like buying stuff, like, just the tourist harassment on top of the sexual harassment. It was a bit. So Sudan was a lot, like, didn't have any of that. Just really, really lovely people. Just nothing to do. Like, I actually started feeling like I was in jail. I was like, okay, well, shitty food, check. Nothing to do, check. Really, really hot. Public bathrooms and showers, if you could get them. Like I said, the water was only on for 2 hours. And you pretty much just got a bucket of water. That it's called bucket showers. Yeah, just killing time, basically, waiting for your prison break, which we thought we had. So it was even harder. It's like, what? We escaped? No, we gotta go back. So guess what I did on day 94? Nothing? You're right. Did get an eye infection, so that was new. I don't know if it's just the filthiness of the trade or not getting good water in Wadi Halfa. So yeah, definitely could not wear my contacts for quite a while, and no medication for it. So just kind of had to do my best. It was quite painful. So the other good, big, exciting news is just in that day away, the Wadi Nile Hotel created their own little cafe in the courtyard with actual real tables and chairs. And we had dinner there that night, and it was potatoes and navy beans, which we hadn't had before. So that was new food, our first new food in almost a week. So that was it. That was our excitement for the day. Usual daily routine for the rest of the day. Stay out of the sun and the flies. So often you're under my mosquito net in my cot in the hallway. And the lack of privacy was driving me a bit crazy too. Anyway, so then day 95, the French couple, they're like, screw this. We're not waiting for this train because we still hadn't heard about the train. So the only other ways out of there was fly or hitch rides on trucks. So they're like, we're flying. So they sold their train tickets, bought their flights from Wadi Halfa, wherever the airport was, to Khartoum. Casey was like, we should do that. I'm so sick and tired of this waiting. This is ridiculous. This is pretty much hell. And I'm like, tell me about it, Case. If it wasn't for you, I had to be in the Caribbean right now, island, yacht hopping. Instead, I'm stuck in 40-degree heat jail. So you can zip it. We're not flying. That's the whole goal of this trip, or one of the goals is to get from Paris to Cape Town by land or water. So we're not throwing it away now. Well, 2 to 3 hours later, we find out the tracks are fixed. The train's leaving at 7. So see, I'm usually always right. I know it's annoying, but it just happens to be true. And then, so yeah, so we're like, oh my God, we're finally out of here. Here we go again. So went to the market, got whatever food we could get for the train ride. Had our dinner at our little cafe hotel, which was actually just gross slop that night. And then get on the train about 6:30. Managed to get our 3-seater compartment back and left at 7 p.m. and said goodbye, like hopefully, please, our last goodbye to Wadi Halfa. Said, obviously said goodbye to all my little local buddies and my 2 old ladies. Like I said, that was definitely, they were the best part of Wadi Halfa by far. So day 96, train. So if you think traveling through the desert and it's super hot would be boring, you would definitely be right. The best bits definitely of this ridiculously long train journey was we'd stop, right? We stopped quite often, but we'd stop and it looked like middle of nowhere, just the desert, But like I said, we do follow the Nile, so you do have that little bit of lush green vegetation. And we stopped them, and all of a sudden, all these people come out of nowhere. I'm like, where did they come from? Because the schedule is so erratic. How did they even know it's coming? Or I don't know. The people, they'd be selling, food they've made or wedding wares they might have. But the cutest would be the little kids. They'd have the plastic buckets of water and sell you a cup of water, which is just from the Nile, where it's not, it's not clean. It's where they go to the bathroom and animals die in it and, all sorts, it's a river. But, of course, 10 hours into our train journey, both the water compartments are bone dry. So the only way to get water is from the kids selling it by the bucket. So a cup of water was like 5 cents. And they're cute. And then, again, like not many Westerners, especially, Caucasian Westerners were coming through that part of the world. So we were always a bit of a novelty. Now, there's no window panes on this train. It's so filthy. It was just ridiculous how dirty we got. And I hardly ate because I also have this eye infection. So I just didn't feel like, because you're so dirty, you can't clean. And I'm like, I don't want to get even sicker. So I hardly ate and just dreamt of the food in Khartoum. Thinking, well, it's a capital. It's a big city. They've surely got to have food there. So that's Casey and I were just doing that. And then, of course, just reading and able to kind of play cards on the train with the wind. So got to be careful with that. Again, just killing time. Oh, I mean, also, the scenery is, there are moments, especially the sunset, and sunrise. It was beautiful. I mean, the desert, I think, is beautiful because it literally is like a sea of sand, and you get the different hues of the colors. So the sand will change from yellows to reds to orange. So it's really pretty. And of course, like I said, you're along the Nile the whole way. So you always have that lush vegetation. So it is pretty. It's just a long time. So day 97 rolls around. We're still on that bloody train. I felt like that train ride, literally was a train ride from hell. It would never end. And we've already done, remember, 22 hours of going nowhere, basically. So I was just like, come on, where is Khartoum? And of course, the closer we get to Khartoum, the more stops we have, because they're, bigger villages closer to the city and, some smaller towns. And also, the closer we get to, the hotter it was getting. I mean, it had to be plus 40 degrees Celsius. Easy. But after 42 hours, we finally rolled into Khartoum. Dirtbags, very tired, hungry dirtbags, but we finally did it. So it was 42 hours on that, plus our 22 hours going nowhere. Kind of add those up. 66 hours on that train. Crazy. So, to hear about Khartoum, and if we found food, it turned into next Thursday's episode to hear all about that. And now it's time for Tam's top tips. So tip number 1 is don't do this trip. Just kidding. Well, not really. Well, you could maybe cut out this bit, but I'm, joking. If you want to do it, then definitely do it. It's definitely an adventure, and you felt a sense of accomplishment after it. That is for sure. The car ferry from Aswan High Dam, which is about 30k from Aswan, that leaves every Sunday between 2 and 4 p.m. And yeah, it takes between 18 and 20 hours to get to Wadi Halfa. And then the other way, I think they leave on Wednesdays. The train, like I said, it runs once a week from Wadi Halfa to Khartoum. But good luck. That's all I gotta say, because I can't see anything really has changed since then. Okay, tip 2. There are now buses that you can get from Aswan to Wadi Halfa, or even from Aswan straight to Khartoum. But from Aswan to Wadi Halfa, it's about 12 hours. I guess from Wadi Halfa to Khartoum is about 12 hours. And they would take a break you spend the night in Wadi Halfa. And it's pretty cheap. I think it's only about $12 or $15 to Wadi Halfa, and then probably another $12 to Khartoum. But apparently the customs and the border crossings are a nightmare. So you want to weigh up the options. I think the ferry's cooler because you go on like Nasser, which was actually created once the dam was built. So like the water overflow created this whole lake. Where the original Wadi Halfa, I would still probably do the ferry. Maybe the bus to Khartoum from Wadi Halfa instead of the train might be a good idea because they leave daily. So I think they leave like in the mornings. And then tip number 3 is get snuffed. I am sure they are still chewing on their tobacco. So definitely give it a try. It's fun. And like I said, you've got nothing else to do. Even if you get on the bus, you got 12 hours. So it's fun. And obviously talk to the locals are amazing. So like that was the best part so far of Sudan, were the local people. So definitely hang out with them. Even if you can't speak the same language, just mime it out. Sign language. They'll, you figure it out. And then for women, even though Sudan is an Islamic fundamentalist country, they treat women much, much better, especially foreign women, than, like I said, Egypt. So no problems. But, make sure you're covered up. Definitely shoulders and knees are covered. Then you will be fine. And like I said, very lovely people. So no worries there. Okay, so that is a wrap. Hopefully I'll be feeling better next week. And I won't be sniffing and coughing nearly as much. Okay, so until next Thursday. Oh, make sure you guys hit up the website, mainlyroadstravel.com. And subscribe so you don't miss an episode along the way. And of course, leave me a review would be awesome. So you get your weekly shout out. See little Archie's trying to get out. So that's a wrap. Okay, so until next week, safe travels, one road at a time. Cheers.